Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And tonight, we're talking Mr. Banks. That's right, folks. We are doing a full spoiler cast on Cars 3. Probably Dragon, this is such an interesting film in the Pixar canon because I feel like this is arguably the film that people have wanted the least, and yet I feel like the critical response to it so far, I don't know, we'll get into it, but I'm very much feeling warm about this film overall. I don't know how you're feeling about it, but let's talk about it. Let's go through, of course, as we like to start out with all these spoiler casts, we'll get into our expectations and then our thoughts coming out. Drag, you want to go first, and then I'll lead us in?
Sure. So, just all the expectations, just kind of the build around Cars 3 ever since it was announced. I always thought, ever since just thinking of if they did a Cars 3 after seeing 2, I guess I always thought Cars 3 should. It's not going to sound like an original thought, but just speaking from the heart, I always thought it should go to the heart of 1, which would be the logical conclusion that McQueen becomes Doc Hudson, because that was kind of the great heart of the first movie, McQueen and Doc Hudson. It should kind of be full circle and just be him kind of becoming the Doc Hudson of the town ever since, we learned, because of course the early part of Paul Newman, Doc Hudson also shared his fate. And the big thing, especially for me and Tiggy, is kind of just kind of keeping an ear out for with Cars, just not knowing what direction they're going to go, seeing if they're going to go with the smart money or just kind of go with kind of merchandising. And good news, they seem to coalesce with the obvious move. Okay, yeah, let's go with the McQueen becoming Doc Hudson story, where of course we parallel a huge moment from Doc Hudson's life, as we wonderfully reacted to in the trailer.
Oh my god, dude, that trailer, I still think, I don't care what anyone says, I still think that might be the best Pixar trailer ever. It's up there. It's captivating.
To be specific, teaser trailer, yes, because remember, teaser trailers mainly capture tone. That's what the Pixar films have done with their teasers, with Incredibles and Monsters, Inc. kind of capture kind of the overall.
And so Cars 3, it's basically yeah, we know we messed up with Cars 2. We know nobody likes Cars 2. But we've got something for you. We're Pixar. We can come back and hit you with the feels. Just watch this.
Exactly. So you hit it right on the head, Tigger, that the trailer was so tonally gripping with this meta parallel of the Pixar saying, very much the message of the movie. And this is why I think a lot of interesting stuff comes from Cars 3 is that we have one more Cars movie in us, and while everyone thinks that we're down and out, we're gonna put our heart into it, and we're gonna put it out there on screen for you guys to watch, judge. Let the cards fall where they may. Let the chips fall where they may. And again, it just seemed to be the smart move of what a third and hopefully final film should be. With all that, with that tone and that great build just going into it, just seems that that they're going with the smart move. Again, my expectations are all right. I think Cars 3 is going to impress some people. Mm-hmm. And let's see. And of course, I think I did go. One last thing with the expectations going is I did have that question in the back of my mind just based on that amazing teaser trailer. It's I wonder how dark they're going to go. Of course, not thinking they're going to go super dark, but I wonder how gripping, how kind of down to earth are we going to be? Just based on again, just to refresh people briefly, that trailer. The biggest takeaway from that teaser trailer was that we didn't see lightning. Again, they obscured kind of the classic Cars eyes and mouth, and it was just really. Very, very realistic, and even the trailer, we kind of there are moments in that were really in the initial ones where we kind of obscure lightning, and we see them from behind saying, "I'm not done." Again, there's a really good build going on. They're wow, this Cars film feels like it's going to be a little different than the other ones. So going into it, I was just really intrigued, and I was wondering, are they going to surprise us with Cars 3? What's going on? So, those are my expectations going on.
Okay, and thoughts coming out?
Thoughts coming out, I was satisfied with it. I think it hit the right story notes, but I did feel in watching it. Usually, I'm coming out of the movie at the kind of the highest, most enjoyable every time I come out of it. I did notice in the theater because at this point the Pixar, I'm just kind of analyzing them as I'm watching because I'm just okay, these guys know how to impress me. Let's see.
right.
But watching it. I did notice, in coming out, I still feel the same way. While I think it was good, and I think it was satisfying as a conclusion, I thought it was very satisfying, very firm in what they did, and I think they went the right route. But I did feel, and we'll get into this. I think there was room for improvement.
Oh, I definitely think so as well. But let's get into my thoughts on it.
Sure. What do you?
Dragon, I agree with you. Like, honestly, from the get-go when they announced Cars 3, I wasn't as skeptical as everyone else was. I was kind of like, okay, it's Pixar. They know they messed up. Basically what we reiterated, sort of the comeback story, the meta quality to it. And then I saw the teaser trailer, Dragon. I was blown away. And I even remember at work, it was like people who don't even like the Cars franchise were buzzing about it. And I, of course, have always had a nostalgic connection to the first Cars movie. And Cars 2, it's Cars 2, it's like what can you do? What can you do? It's got decent moments, but it's got a lot of flaws. And I think this movie was correct to more or less retcon a lot of Cars 2. Anyways, Dragon, so the teaser trailer alone had me hooked. I was like, God damn it, Pixar, you did it. You did it. Like, I don't even care what the rest of the trailers. And Dragon, I even kind of like ignored the rest of the trailers, to tell you the truth. I was sold on that initial teaser trailer, and I did not watch any of the other trailers, if you can believe it. Like, I've kind of been in that sort of monkey strategy where monkey doesn't like watching trailers either. I'll watch the first teaser trailer, but other than that, like, honestly, I thought the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer was my limit with that. Anyways, Dragon, the closer it got to the release of Cars 3, the more nervous I got, because I just felt this air of cynicism around it. I felt this air of like, even if I like the film, people around me are not going to like the film, and I'm basically going to be ostracized for liking the film. And I thought Disney was doing good things with it. And so I was very nervous about it. And then I did your strategy, Dragon, where I didn't want to know the critical response to it, but I did go to one source and did what you did with Jeremy Johns, which was fast forward to the end of his review. And let's just say he was not kind to it. So that was like the breaking point. Like, I didn't want to know the tomato meter score. I didn't want to know anything. I just wanted to go in fresh. And going in fresh, Dragon, this movie was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Does it have flaws? Absolutely it does. But I honestly think, for as much nostalgia as I have for the original Cars, I think this movie might, like, it's honestly kind of like, again, like a fun racing analogy. Like, it's close, but I honestly think Cars 3 in the long run might edge out the original Cars, because you've got to admit there are problems with the original Cars as well. And I haven't seen the original Cars in a while, so I don't know. But Cars 3 just has a lot going on that I really like about it. It's the movie in the franchise that focuses the most on the actual racing element, and it does it very well. Like, we all like to compare Pixar works to other films. Like, of course, Toy Story 3 is The Great Escape. The Good Dinosaur is a Western. And this, Dragon, I think we can all agree, is definitely Pixar's Rocky, specifically like Rocky 3.
Well, you know what? You know what's funny? And going in this, I mentioned this to you, but
Okay.
like way back when we had that teaser trailer, or one of the trailers, I can't remember, but regardless, I abide by the Rocky thing, but my Rocky pairing is two different films. I pair Rocky 6 and 7.
Oh God. Well, I can see the new technology.
It feels very Rocky Balboa, but with the Creed twist, let's say.
With a Creed, Rocky Balboa with a side of Creed.
Yes, exactly. But going into it, I was, again, just the whole I got one more race left in me thing. I was thinking very much Rocky Balboa, which essentially is Rocky saying I got one more fight left in me.
Well, either way, I think it's clear that this movie was, like, Pixar can kind of wear their inspirations on their sleeves sometimes, lovingly so. And I think in this way, they very much did so with Rocky. And I think it paid off very well. And I think that's important, because I think NASCAR is like a niche thing, and NASCAR was the thing that kind of like was tried to be sold in the original Cars. Like, the original Cars was very much tailor made.
And with that too, you got to remember NASCAR is the thing, and not everyone's going to gravitate towards.
Of
and
course.
that's kind of where you get kind of cars falling under a lot of scrutiny. It's like either you get into it or you don't, because it's like people get into NASCAR, they know that they're driving around a circle really fast,
my connection to Cars has always been like less the NASCAR and more the Radiator Springs. Like, I just love the environment of Radiator Springs and the
They get a lot of
building
people
of
saying it's
Radiator
Doc
Springs.
Hollywood with cars.
And that's a flaw with it as well. So with Cars 3, what I'm saying is I think it tells a story that's generic, sure. It tells a story that we've seen before. I mean, let's face it, I definitely think we'll get into it. As entertaining as Nathan Fillion is as Sterling, like you can see the villain twist with that guy coming a mile away. Spoiler alert, this is a spoiler cast. Um, anyways, we'll get down into the nitty gritty of it, Dragon. But suffice to say, I really, really enjoyed this movie. It's going to take me another rewatch to let me, kind of process in my brain where exactly it ranks in the Pixar chronology. But honestly, like, I definitely think it's above Brave. I definitely think it's above Monsters U. Obviously above Cars 2. As I said, beats out the original Cars by a smidge. Dragon, controversial. I personally enjoy it a lot more than Finding Dory.
Oh,
I know.
I'm not saying that the slight Cars 3. I'm just saying I really like Finding Dory.
And you know me, I've always just kind of been like, Finding Dory was good. It was good.
I also would have said a little bit of the same reaction, just not as much. But for Monsters University, which I also enjoyed, but regardless, Finding Dory. Anyway.
I knew that was going to be the controversial one, so that's why.
I'm saying I was about to head back to with Monsters U, but then he said Finding Dory instantly. Right.
So honestly, Dragon, I'm a lot higher on this than a lot of people are, even though generally I've been happy to say that the vibe of this film has been I think a lot of people agree with me that it is the best of the Cars franchise at the very least, and it kind of redeems the whole franchise in a way. And of course, Dragon, I also have a nostalgic connection to Cars via the Cars Land at California Adventure. I tell you, Dragon, you gotta go there. You gotta fucking go there.
Do I have to go there, huh? Must I? Are you trying to sell me on Cars Land? How good Cars Land is, Tiki?
Dragon,
is that what you're trying to do?
You want me to give you the Cars Land pitch and like the elevator?
I know how great
the elevator
Cars
pitch
Land is. I've seen John Lasseter sell me on it. You think I need to be sold?
Let me give you let me just give you the quick elevator pitch anyways. Is I was watching Cars 3, after this was the first time I was watching a Cars movie after I've been to Cars Land, in real life. Dragon, it's crazy. It's like I was just like, yep, like everything is exactly where it should be. Like it's ridiculous. Like I felt like I was watching footage of the theme park. It was so good. Anyways, I'm sorry. Go ahead. So let's get into characters.
A little early for that too.
Oh yeah, you're right. I'm so sorry, Dragon. Backstory.
Right. So, folks, here's what got us on the road to Cars 3. So this movie's been in development since 2013. That's just in the conceptual phase of, hey, let's do a Cars 3. And then it gets into production in 2014. I don't know how much kind of writing is going on in 2013, but the point is it's officially started in 2014. So just to put you in the minds up, bear in mind, some of this is speculatory, but this seems like you can feel it in this movie, so I'm just going to go through it here. So I feel that after Cars 2, I can imagine this, after Cars 2, while believe me, a debate can be had, and believe me, I will fight for Pixar to the last man any day of the week, and believe me, I'll win. The fact remains, Cars 2
yes,
did. Seriously, the fact does remain that Cars 2, whether you love or hate it, did legitimately hurt Pixar in a personal way. I mean, those guys were really crestfallen with just like, again, bear in mind, like, whether like a case
that
can be
was
made
the end of their winning streak, Dragon. That was it. That was the end of their lucky charm,
Exactly. And Tiki and I have made the case before, like how it's not the end of it. But again, like your diehard Pixar fans will kind of will stick up for. But there's the consensus, like again, movie fights are like not movie fights. As the honest trailers, they'll make just the kind of the broad kind of like just kind of consensus claim of like, hey, Cars 2 broke the winning streak. It's the worst film Pixar's made, which again is not really fair, and it's really harsh.
I mean, I do think it is the worst film Pixar's ever made, but
anyway, so the point is that sort of thing just being branded like all that hard work just kind of being branded as it's kind of worse. It really did hurt the studio in a personal way. You got to remember that kind of that really kind of crushed morale for a while, Pixar.
Of course.
And with all the harsh negativity and it just kind of. The fact remains, Cars 2 has just kind of become a punchline, and this is And honestly, I just want to bring this Cars 2 is like a little moment, the really rare moment with John Lasseter we had with Cars 2 is like John Lasseter. I've only seen John Lasseter vulnerable in 2 moments, Tiki. Only 2 moments. I don't mean just sad. I mean 2 moments. Like we see a side of John Lasseter we've never seen before. 2 moments. See, one moment was, of course, Black Friday cut of Toy Story. That he was legitimately embarrassed by the Black Friday cut of not Toy Story, of Toy Story. And of course, that was like the early days of making Toy Story. Was just that horrible cut of Toy Story just embarrassed him in front of the heads of Disney. And of course, the other moment with Cars 2 is that he had to stick up for Toy Story 2. For Cars 2. Sorry, Black Friday stuff. He was sticking for Cars 2, and was really just kind of like he's questioned during the press conference or interview or something. It was just like, what do you think about Cars 2 being so bad? He had to stick up for it, and that's like a little bit of like him just kind of firmly, almost like kind of like a parent's a little stern with you, in a way.
Right.
Just him sticking up for no, Cars 2 isn't. No, I disagree. Cars 2 is not bad. and basically what I'm getting at with all this stuff is that you got to imagine a lot of this has an effect on the the fact they're going to get to Cars 3 a little later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the point is it's definitely motivated. Bringing the story back to the main focus being Lightning McQueen, and because we kind of lost focus of that with the second one, following Mater's story is the main crux, and McQueen being really in the background. And like most trilogies, I guess they're figuring the production. Again, this is less of my speculation than we get to the actual facts. I'm just figuring like, Cars 2 put a lot of pressure on for Cars 2. That's my whole point, kind of boiled.
Of course, yeah.
Down there. Is that this definitely motivated them to bring the story back full circle with McQueen, and like most trilogies, it goes full circle anyway, so you can kind of a natural mixture there. So then we get to an effort to capture and expand upon the heart of the first Cars. That was kind of the goal within the making of this film, is kind of capture the essence of the first Cars movie, kind of the love, kind of the falling in love of Radiator Springs, like kind of the heart of Radiator Springs following McQueen to the racetrack again.
Mm-hmm.
And to do so, what they did was they brought back one of the veteran Cars writers, Gil Murray. One of the various writers on the original Cars was brought back. They had 3 writers on this head. Gil Murray. They introduced a new writer who was, believe it or not, a very notable sports movie writer. Wrote Secretariat and The Rookie. Mike Rice. So they got him, and they also got Bob Pearson, of course. Bob Pearson, the story man extraordinaire. They got him on there too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of deep cut story men on Cars, because of course the director of this film was Brian Fee. Now Brian Fee was a board artist on both Cars films, Cars 1 and Cars 2. So he's got a sense of history and care with the Cars franchise. The point is they're really striving to get Cars kind of again back to the mindset of the first one, but also some new flourishes, some new input. Again, with kind of like, let's do Cars again, but as a sports comeback story, kind of like, again, hence the sports writer. Essentially, that's the backstory. Unfortunately, DVDs haven't come out, so we don't really know the ins and outs of every single thing. But that's the broad consensus. It's just like scratching the surface on it. But that's essentially the making of the film.
All right, so let's give a summary of the plot really quick, Dragon. Fortunately, there's no spy espionage this time around.
Yes, fortunately. So Lightning McQueen, Lightning McQueen is dealing with the realities of an evolving racing world. And over the course of the racing season, the Piston Cup racing season, as we see in the beginning of the film, and he can, as the racing season begins, he's off to his worst year yet, and he continually is outshined by this new cocky rookie, Jackson Storm, who's pushing McQueen so far to the point of a really bad Doc Hudson-esque wreck. After recovery and realization he's in the same exact position as his mentor Doc, McQueen is determined to beat Storm at the Florida 500, beginning of a new racing season at the Florida 500. And show the racing world that he's got a season left in him. He's still got more in him. To quote Doc Hudson, he's got more left in him, and he says when he's done. No one else. Again, kind of that's what Doc Hudson was kind of faced with, and he kind of took the reclusive route, and that McQueen's not going so reclusively. Mm-hmm. Not even. Not even by his new sponsor, his his new sponsor, Sterling, played by the wonderful Nathan Fillion, who's again putting him in that exact position that Doc Hudson was in.
It's great to have Nathan Fillion in the repertoire of Pixar villains.
Yes, and with the help of a young aspiring racer, Cruz Ramirez, and Doc's mentor, Smokey and the gang, McQueen embarks on a long road to remind himself that he is speed. He is faster than fast, quicker than quick. Lightning. Or is he? That's the question of the movie. That's the plot.
All right, so let's transition right into Lightning McQueen himself when we get into characters, Dragon. I'm glad you mentioned the speed quote because I love how full circle that moment is, Dragon, to start up the movie. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, like we've heard that speed quote over and over. That was like, the quote that started off this whole franchise. And, like it or not, Cars, the Cars franchise might not be the most beloved, but it is the most financially viable and successful that Pixar's ever done, in terms of merchandise. So there's a place here. But anyways, with Lightning, I just, I really think it's interesting that they have a commentary on the branding element of McQueen. You know what I mean? Like there is a lot of meta-ness to this, this film. In a way, I think this movie is in a lot of ways, I feel like it's Pixar's Iron Man 3, Dragon.
Well, possibly.
I'm saying that just in kind of like it's a very offbeat way to end a trilogy, but it's and it's got some flaws to it, but it's satisfying at the same time.
I guess it's a good comparison when you say it like that. Yeah.
Right. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's McQueen's arc is honestly one of the really great parts of this movie for me. I love McQueen's arc, and I really like McQueen in the movie. He's coming to grips. We have McQueen in this movie that we've kind of started. We had a whole different arc than obviously in the first movie. He's the cocky rookie. He's just kind of he's grounding himself. He's investing in the small town. He learns to slow down in that movie. He learns the joys of slowing down and basically not making not getting outside of. Basically, not getting high on himself. He learns to care about other people.
The Sunday Drive, Dragon. The Sunday Drive.
Yes, the Sunday Drive, and of course, becoming far more humble than he ever imagined. So he cares about something other than himself, as Doc Hudson poses to him wonderfully in that first movie. When is the last time you cared about someone aside from yourself? Mm-hmm. Queen now cares for a whole lot, and of course, 2 is just kind of predicated on him caring about Mater.
Yeah, sure.
So
again, he was just more of a background character. It was like it really, he was just, I don't know. It really bothers me that he didn't get a lot of screen time in 2.
Right. Yes.
Go ahead.
Anyway, so again, just coming to grips with no longer being able. And this to me is kind of a fascinating part of the argument. He's no longer. He's no longer able to do what he used to. He's coming to grips with no longer being the rookie, no longer being the rookie, and just kind of that realistic thing where we all get caught up in just kind of in the moment, and we just kind of realize we don't really think of longevity. So McQueen's kind of at the top of his game at the beginning of this film. Then he realizes again a wonderful sequence that kind of takes us through this. McQueen realizes he's kind of missed being on top because he's been so focused. And he's now as he's like kind of snapping out of it, he's realizing I'm at the end of the career here. It's like I'm just he's in the position of any racer. Really, the next generation's coming in and kind of stealing his thunder or stealing his lightning, more appropriately.
Yeah, sure. And I really like how the movie illustrates that. Like one Rocky-esque thing this movie does is montages, Dragon. We get some great montages here. And I really do like that first montage we get of that, of that season, and everything going on.
Yeah. Oh, my. Yes.
There's just a lot of good, as I said, good kind of building up the character. And, of course, we get into the different cars. And, we really do see this great gradual progression of Lightning's crew, and his rivalries and whatnot being replaced by like, oh, my God, like, what's this new car on the circuit and all these rookies. It really does do a good job of showing the gradual transition in the racing community.
Yes, just him having that realization, that here's one of the best parts just of McQueen's arc. Is one of the best parts of the movie for me. Is that I love that. I love McQueen having this really emotional realization along his journey. And kind of Smokey later on, he kind of calls him on. We'll touch more upon the specifics of this later on. But let's just say there's this realization McQueen has in the middle of this arc. McQueen is so focused on the racing world, not just because of he wants to kind of maintain it, because that's kind of a selfish character goal. he really wants to do this because he feels a connection to his mentor in the. Sorry, do you not want me to make the point, or?
Oh no, no, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I don't know some of the moments we have there. I just want to make sure I'm not.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, to the point that he has this realization that Doc was more than just a mentor; he was a father figure to him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of this great arc that kind of that path taken, just kind of tying in that kind of that really great kind of emotional character specific thing to kind of what this tangible item, like I want to just I want to win a race, where it's not about winning a race, it's about the journey to winning the race, the deep seated reason why he wants to win the race, and it takes him through this great arc of he doesn't want to. This isn't an ending, but it's a very different new beginning. That's kind of the culmination of McQueen's arc. He's close to the Doc, and in doing so, he's closer to Doc than he ever thought possible, closer to his father figure than he ever thought possible, and becoming it's kind of the. You're mentioning Iron Man. I'm mentioning Superman. I guess it's kind of the son becomes the father, and the father becomes the son.
Dragon, one more thing about Lightning, and then I think we could move on, unless you have anything else. I very much think this movie. In much the same way that Up deals with old age, I think this movie deals with retirement in the same sort of way.
Yes. You're right. I was hitting upon the retirement thing. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else with McQueen?
No. I think it's about it.
Okay. Let's get into Cruz Ramirez. All right. I don't know. To be honest with you, Dragon, Cruz was not my favorite character in this. I like where her character ends up in terms of how it relates to Lightning's story. I don't think she's that compelling of a character in her own right. So I don't know. I'm a little bit mixed on Cruz. Like, I just think for a majority of the movie, she just her personality is a little bit grating to me. And of course, we'll get more into this with pros and cons. And then we have a reveal with her, the reveal that, like, she wants to be a driver, that she never wanted to be a trainer. That's her whole arc. And I think that's where the movie gets interesting. But at the same time, I think that's also where the movie sort of starts to get predictable and we sort of start to see, like, where it goes. And it's not like these movies are meant to have, like, a super twisty, like, Christopher Nolan plot or anything like that. But, I don't know.
The whole time.
I know, right? But I'm a little bit mixed on Cruz. Can you shine some light? Can you shine your headlights on Cruz, if you will?
I'm 100%
the car puns. Oh, the car puns.
I'm 100% in agreement about the Cruz Ramirez thing. To be honest with you, I'm amazed how how simpatico we are on Cruz Ramirez.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, literally, 100%. I mean,
wow.
I'm a little flabbergasted, but like I thought I was like going to be have to go into it, but no, he really hit on the money.
Yeah.
It's nice that, and that's the thing. I really don't want to be mixed on Cruz Ramirez because again, I'm with you, Dave. I love where we go with her, and I love she kind of builds traction.
She's a plot device. That's the problem. She's an effective plot device, but I don't really like her so much as an actual character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's she's. It's nice that the only kind of character bit she has, which again comes more into focus later on. Like I love it. Basically, for me, it's the point when she trains from the Queen onward. That's when she becomes interesting for me. Again, that's like all third act stuff. Third act's when she kind of picks up the most kind of character intrigue, I guess. Which again, it's not really that much of an intrigue. It's just like this is why I'm starting to like her. Like okay, I like McQueen as someone he's going on this journey with, and now he's just like kind of training with. And then we have this fantastic mobile hit with pros later on, but. And it's just very, we see with Cruz, and this is something I want to rewatch. I really have to see how the stacks up. And this is something I was kind of noticing as I was going forward, and I really processed it after the movie. It was kind of as I was kind of mixing. Like the first two acts really didn't do it for me with Cruz. That we see that she's very in the first act immediately. We see she's very not cut out for training outside of like we see she's trained. She essentially is a trainer by the books. Tiki. She trains the next generation with all the high tech methods and stuff, which is pretty much like she can spot like okay, well you need. You're getting homesick. Hey, play the mariachi music. Play.
Okay, that is. I will even get into the questionable. Like, yeah, that's a little bit culturally insensitive.
Okay. Well, my point. Okay, sorry. Less.
I
You know what I'm
wasn't
saying.
crazy on that joke, Dragon. I'll just.
I'm
say
not
that
trying to
much.
get into the mariachi
I
band. I
know.
want
I
to make
know.
that, but my point is, like she knows how to train by the book. Like she's. I mean, you see what I'm saying? Like she's very by the book trained. Like okay, well,
Let me just say the Italy crossover we had in Cars 2 was a much better way to represent homesickness. I'll say that much. Do you remember that scene?
I'm sorry, you got to say it one more time. The what crossover?
Where they fly over in Italy, like Luigi and Guido.
All right, yeah, that was good.
Yeah. Anyways,
and that was a good park.
Yeah.
Anyway, not to get sidetracked, but you know what I'm saying is like she's a trainer in terms of, like she can't really, she's not training everyone individually. She's training everyone kind of collectively. Like okay, well, people have certain needs, but like she's used to train like the next generation, not like an old, not an older kind of like in the trenches. Like she's like using the most modern technology. The guys who've only barely trained on track.
Right, and I guess we'll hit on this more in pros and cons, but I do really like the use of the technology in this movie. It's, again, much in the same way I feel like a similarity to Up in the retirement angle. I feel like this could almost be a prequel to Wall-E with the, the reliance on technology and that sort of a commentary on, like, just because it's more high-tech doesn't mean it's more effective. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, yeah, I agree with you. And also it's this... we've seen the progression in the Cars films of technology. Like Cars 2, again, with all the spy stuff, we definitely saw how a car would go on the internet, just by using the wheel and having this really cool wheel specified mouse pad. It's a real cool thing where, you move the tire forward, you can move the mouse forward. We've always been improving the technology in the Cars franchise.
And for a good example in this film is we have sort of like the Google Hangout style, like the Skype style phone booths they have to talk to each other with, long
and
distance.
it makes absolute sense in a place where you can call someone using like Alexa or using like Siri or something. Just like talking. In this case, they have Hamilton.
Hamilton, yes, that's got to be a reference.
Well, no, I know who it's a reference to. It's no.
Oh wait,
it's not,
you're right.
It's a reference to the Brit. I don't know if it's the same. I doubt it's the actual voice of I really don't think it's the same voice, but the point is, it's named after a British racer, which kind of like a neat little reference. You give like a prim and proper name.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of like NASCAR. There's like Jeff Gordon and stuff like that.
Of course, we've had those guys around lately. We brought them back. I always love the announcers, by the way. Daryl Cartrip and I can't remember the other one. I always remember Cartrip because they have car puns for names. Get it, cars. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just on the whole, Cruz again. Cruz is a lousy trainer. For like she can't, she lousy trainer. So like lousy trainer, but a really good payoff for Cruz. So.
Okay, let's move on to
the next gen.
Yeah.
Okay, think about it. There you go.
I don't know why. I don't know.
Jackson Storm,
played by the great Armie Hammer. Yeah.
Armie Hammer's a really good actor. He was considered for Batman in that George Miller Justice League movie.
Yes, I know. Yeah, you're right. You are correct, Dragon.
I saw him in a movie with it was based on the 60s. Man from U.N.C.L.E. He was in Man from U.N.C.L.E. with Henry Cavill. Really good. That was a good movie. It's done by Guy Ritchie. Guy does Sherlock Holmes movies. Anyway, the point is just Armie Hammer. Good actor.
I think his best role was The Social Network, but okay, go ahead. So yeah, this guy, I think he's definitely a good rival. I definitely think he works a little better than Chick Hicks did in the first Cars movie. And honestly, if there was a rival in the second Cars movie, I guess it was like that like Italian drag car or something like that, right?
Yeah, Francesco Bernoulli.
Yeah.
See, here, you notice the progression. Each of McQueen's rivals are each the kind of the villains of the Cars movie, not counting the actual villains we'll get into, who are, the Germanic Zundap. Okay, Professor Zundap, not counting those guys. The racing rivals.
Yeah.
And by the way, I like Professor Zundap. I don't want to cast aspersions. I don't want.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't care for him. But...
It's a really cool design. It was like, anyway,
I don't care for him because of the design, honestly.
Anyway, let's not get into it. The point is, you'll notice a progression with the racing rivals that they get more verbose. They kind of with Chick Hicks, we had like a really jerky kind of verbose character. Then we go to Francesco, who's like he's wonderfully played by John Turturro, who's like he's really, he's just playing cocky, but he's kind of likable. He's a bit of charisma's in there, so he's kind of like he's fun. He doesn't mean it with mouth.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't as antagonistic as Chick.
Yeah, he just trash talks a lot, but he trash talks, but deep down he's a nice guy. He brings his mother to the race.
Oh God.
And then we get. Jackson Storm here. Jackson Storm, he's imagine Chick Hicks, but instead of being like he is a jerk, but he's much more subtle and scary about it. And I think what we have that's cool about our two kind of racing villains. It's hard to say villains because they're not really evil. They're just kind of rivals.
They're antagonists.
Sure. Okay. That's a way of putting it. Yeah, antagonists. Jackson Storm, the one we're going to get to. We'll call him that here a little bit. Sterling. Sterling, Jackson, Storm. I think together they work really well because they're kind of one of the best antagonists you can have for McQueen in this movie because they're very real world and they're very together.
They very much they very much represent the next generation.
Yes,
and in a way, the idea of the next generation as a whole is like that sort of like it's almost kind of like kind of like how old age is the villain of Up, you know what I mean? Like it's sort of like the metaphysical villain. Go ahead.
And that's what I'm hitting upon. And McQueen, they represent McQueen's fears very well. And McQueen's fears are just kind of the unavoidable realities, which are the end of your career, and there's always someone better. Which of course Sterling represents end of the career, and Jackson Storm's like he's the always someone better, and you can't completely hate the guy for that because he's just really good at what he does, but he doesn't. And the reason we don't like him is because
he's a newer model of car, and it's kind of an interesting commentary on the Cars universe as a whole when you think about it that way. You know what I mean?
Yes, just looking at kind of a character kind of comparison here for a moment is that with being a next generation McQueen, being the new rookie, he's essentially he's McQueen in a way, like he's all cocky. So basically, what if McQueen was all cocky, no heart, and the biggest, most important thing with Jackson Storm, the big comparison between him and McQueen is that Storm is the more callous rookie with no respect for the past. He's constantly insulting, with like through his teeth or like to the press, but always kind of insulting McQueen, saying, "Hey, you're done, old man. What are you doing here?" Or again, McQueen back when he was still a rookie, when he was just on the scene, he had all the respect in the world for the King, Mister the King, and he knew who Doc Hudson was. He knew all the racing greats. Jackson Storm, if he knows the racing greats, because they're mentioned to him. Like, he doesn't really know them. He's just like, these are the guys I'm going to beat. He doesn't get to know them or get to respect them at all. So it's like, the new generation, no respect.
Sure.
And I'm just saying with that, though, it's that I think there might be somewhat of a commentary that, we're getting a little kind of crueler as we get more. There might be I'm definitely reading into this. It might be kind of like a thing as we get crueler and crueler, we're in the cynical era, so to speak. We get further and further along. It might be some cynicism versus the old optimism in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from because in a way it kind of rounds things out because the original movie, the original film was all about that sort of optimistic vibe. You know what I mean? The sort of like the down home, as you mentioned, like Lightning McQueen, like looking to the past is what really kind of got him out of his funk in the original film.
This is something hit me in the moment, Tiki, but I just don't want to lose it because I think it's something you've always kind of brought up with the cars, and I want to make sure I hit upon is that I think in a way, kind of like the Route 66 sequence in Cars, like the time lapse, we see.
You mean Our Town?
Yes, Our Town, like in the Our Town sequence. From the original Cars.
That's my favorite Pixar song right there.
It's really your favorite?
It's my favorite Pixar song.
Okay.
I would argue it is the best Pixar song, yeah.
Anyway, like that, in this movie, we have the less kind of nostalgic version of that, where you have kind of like, basically where that's kind of like, it's sad. This version, we also have kind of a sad equivalent to that with the, we see kind of the sad reality kind of dawning on McQueen. Like all the old, basically the old racers he came up with, they're all replaced by next gen cars.
Right.
I'm just saying it's kind of like it's like it would have been paved over. It's kind of a realization that, hey, Route 66 is no more. Like people aren't coming by Route 66 anymore. It's sort of a similar like kind of depressing reveal.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. Okay, and Dragon, one thing to correct really, really quick. You mentioned Hamilton.
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton actually does play himself.
Oh, that's cool.
And he voiced a car version of himself in the second movie, and I guess he kind of got the, the Jarvis treatment.
Right.
It was turned into AI in this movie.
Right.
Okay.
And just I guess the last thing on Jackson, really all I have to say is that again, like the really cool thing about Jackson Storm, one is really cool design. And secondly, just with that, it's kind of that thing where he's just, I love how, people made this with the Rocky comparison. He's essentially Ivan Drago, but, he's, I love how he's unbeatable and he's so intimidating that, again, I love how we keep setting the build for a Storm and build for the final races that we keep tracking his speed. And I love how we track his speed. Like his top speed, if I'm remembering correctly, is because his top speed was 213 miles per hour, which, by the way, is super fast. In case someone just can't put that together on their own. He broke a record, which was going, I want to say, 245 miles per hour, which is like kind of like a new record for the thing. Which is like we keep building the intimidation factor. Like, just logistically, McQueen cannot go that fast.
Yeah, exactly.
It was always like the Flash, and that every season on Flash is always like we gotta get Flash going faster and faster. And faster.
Right.
I'm gonna get Lightning going faster and faster.
You're right. A lot of this movie is kind of like Lightning doing speed tests. Like I've only seen Flash season 1, but I still know what you're talking about in regards to faster and faster.
I hear they're definitely gonna try to change that up going forward in the Flash, but that definitely has been something too. It keeps like run, Barry, run. You gotta go faster.
Right.
But that's an inside joke because everyone knows like that's what wins everyone over when we hear like okay, Flash pulls down to this and it's awesome. Mm-hmm. Barry's down and out. What's he gonna do? He's feeling all depressed and the problems of the episode are weighing on him. Someone says on an intercom from Star Labs, usually Harrison Wells.
Right.
Saying, Barry, you listen to me. You got to get your speed.
All right. We're going into a Flash rabbit hole here.
Anyway, moving on. So moving on from Storm.
Yeah, let's get to Sterling, voiced by the great Nathan Fillion.
I really like Sterling.
Yeah, I definitely think he's a great, I think he's like a less evil version of Lotso in a lot of ways.
In a way, I just love that he's as evil as an actual agent.
Right. Yeah. He is very much.
Which means he's not he's not a baby killing evil, but he's just he's just kind of it's just he's an evil in terms of he'll turn on you on a dime, he'll leave you for dead. Sort of like I guess it's kind of like a lawyer evil.
Oh God! You're just saying that because the Better Call Saul finale is tomorrow.
Yes,
I can't wait.
Oh, I'm so excited. Anyway, but the great again with the villain combination. Again, I just love that it's just embodying McQueen's fears, what you want your villains to really do, and that's kind of something. In a way, I don't want to make it like a Pixar versus them sort of thing, but compare it to kind of what Disney's New Renaissance has been doing with a lot of their villains, have been going kind of the subtle route with the villains lately. And this is kind of like this is like a kind of a cool kind of thematic subtle thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Pixar in general has kind of had a bit of an upswing with their villains. Well, I don't know. Yeah.
It's kind of funny. Actually, Nathan Fillion was a villain. They introduced Nathan Fillion to the Pixar universe, honestly, in Monsters University as the bad guy in that movie.
Oh my God, you're absolutely right.
He was Johnny. It might have been Johnny Worthington, but it was Johnny Sung. He was the leader of the Omega.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, crap! All the fraternities. I got them all screwed up.
I think it's whatever. Anyway. I'm sorry, Dragon. I don't know. Pixar doesn't necessarily have the best track record of villains as of late, but still, as you said, the one thing I have been very disappointed with these Disney Renaissance films is. Well,
to be fair to you, the reason for that is because they haven't had villains in a few movies. There was no villain in Finding Dory, and there was no villain in Inside Out.
Inside Out, right. And no real villain in The Good Dinosaur either.
Well, no, we had Steve Zahn. Steve Zahn was a bad guy.
Oh God, that barely counts.
We saw them commit murder on screen of an animated squirrel.
All right. Anyways,
but
I like how this guy definitely, Dragon. I'm sure you like the touch of the Lightning McQueen Museum.
Yes, and we'll get into that.
Okay.
But yeah, he's a great realist. I think we really hit on a super real world antagonist in this movie, which I'm just so impressed by. That he's just he is. you know,
As the movie goes down, he just kind of gradually like breaks down his barriers. Like, no, like, and it does lead to a point with Cruz in the movie where it is genuinely very real world, like a boss just doing his job and keeping his company in order. But it's so harsh and he's so mean about it. You know what I mean?
yeah, he's very much kind of like Ferris Boyle from Batman the animated series in a way. This to kind of give a comparison. It's like kind of the ruthless businessman when the shades really come in. It's like, oh, I'm all heart, and then of course something doesn't go his way. This is my equipment.
Sure, yeah. So yeah, I agree. I am very high on Philly, and I wish that Cruz Ramirez was a better protagonist to counteract that antagonist. But still.
Yeah, just while he is a fan of McQueen, I believe he's absolutely genuine that he is a fan of McQueen and Hudson. But he's also a businessman and a very callous businessman. Because I love that just when he's I mean, this the chilling thing almost is that when McQueen's racing, he's already preparing for. He kind of has a feeling that McQueen's going to lose. He's just like he's telling. Remember, he tells Cruz during that race. The reason he tells her to go is to train McQueen's replacement because he has no faith in him.
Well, it's funny because it's yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, that's a good point. An interesting comparison to make between the museum is the that stockpile of merchandise with as charming as the museum stuff is, that merchandise is sort of like the deal with the devil that you have to sign to get that museum.
However, the McQueen grill does look really tempting, I gotta say.
Hey, and those mud flaps, they make quality mud flaps.
They do make quality mud flaps. Again, folks, that's rusty.
No. Oh god. Okay.
Yes, moving on. I'm sorry, do you have anything more with Sterling?
No, I'm good.
Aside from, again, Nathan Fillion love, big time.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to
I'm so sorry you were cut from Guardians Volume 2, Nathan Fillion. You're always there in our hearts.
All right, so Smokey, voiced by the great Chris Cooper.
Yes.
I'm so sorry you were cut from the Amazing Spider-Man 2, Chris Cooper.
And the potential Amazing Spider-Man 3 as the actual Goblin Head.
Okay. Yeah, Chris Cooper. So this guy, Dragon, I am so glad that I did not have this character spoiled for me at all. Like, I had no idea he was coming. And I don't know, I really got into his character. He, for me, was really like, along with all the Doc Hudson stuff that we'll get into, he's really like one of the big hearts of the movie. And of course, he doesn't get that much screen time. He kind of comes in more at the third act. But I just really love the sense of nostalgia that this guy and all the other old timer cars get into.
Yeah, it's really cool seeing Doc's friends, just the history, via the hometown. Again, seeing kind of like it's a way of kind of capturing the feel of Lightning kind of getting to know Radiator Springs through kind of this, through Thomasville. When he goes to kind of Doc's hometown, see kind of what kind of, you gotta remember the charm of in the real life take. They did capture again, because the thing you always have to give Pixar is that they have a fantastic attention to detail and research and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, we know this already, like going into like more than 10 films already, way more than 10
sure.
18. And going into that, it's the origin for the Hudson Hornet. The reason they use the Hudson Hornet is because they had these sort of like, these are just like average cars that were kind of then kind of put like stickers on, and then they become racing cars, and they work best in the dirt, and that's why Thomasville very much looks identical to kind of where you would see Hudson Hornets kind of racing each other. And bear in mind, not everyone's a Hudson Hornet, but classic cars racing each other. So it feels very 50s-esque, feels very kind of like down there. Feels like a town that's like an average town converted, taken over by kind of the thrill of racing on like a Sunday evening,
Mm-hmm.
Which of course Doc Hudson then kind of turned Radiator Springs into.
Yeah, Dragon. This is definitely something that radiated with me in much the same way that the small town vibe of the original cars did. Actually, believe it or not, Dragon, the oldest structure in all of my town of Petaluma is this old set of bleachers. It's a really big set of bleachers. It's an old, it's old, but it's still there. And it's the racetrack is still there too. And they do the hardtop races every Saturday night, just like you said, the nostalgia and the thrill of those those weekends at the racetrack. And I don't know, I just thought just watching it, and I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself with the nostalgia here for one of my favorite moments. But I'm just saying, like, I totally get what you're saying with the with that sort of Sunday evening racetrack vibe. I love how the movie illustrated that.
Yeah, just on the whole, because again, we'll get into more with Smokey down the line, but just on the whole, is Smokey lends to a lot of really great moments with Lightning, and just him giving kind of like providing him with kind of a connection. He kind of clarifies to Lightning, just how much Doc meant to him.
Mm. Do you want to quickly go over the other old timer cars?
Just really just list them off. One, of course, is voiced by TV's wonderful. Margot Martindale.
Yes.
We have Luis Barnstormer Nash. A lot of them just have their nicknames. Just the main ones to highlight. Barnstormer Nash, Junior Midnight Moon, and a lot of them also are based on old time racers too. Like they actually have the voice actors. Who are actually they do a lot of the cars. They have the actual racers doing the voices. So Junior is actually based on a racer named Junior something.
Mm.
Sorry. Just the old. I mean, there's a few. It's a little hard to get like a full without going through like the cars, like infinite list of cars.
I think Barnstormer Nash was my favorite one, just because she got a little bit of a backstory to her.
Yeah, essentially.
And Margot Martindale.
Yes, well, and she's great and everything. Again, she's in that show I told you about that Cranston did. She's.
I'm watching Sneaky Pete. I'm like halfway through episode 2. I'm slowly getting through it. I'm slowly getting through it. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And also, she was on Dexter. She's on so many shows that Margot Martindale is truly and then very lethal. Uh-huh. Anyway, so
and also the Millers.
I hear good things.
John Cochran, the winner of Survivor Caramoan, writes for the Millers.
Good for him.
Yeah. I'm sorry. That's the only
if I remember correctly, just one thing about Barnes Risk while we're on this kind of this Margot Love Fest, this Martindale Palooza. If I'm right, the cool thing with her backstory is like she was one of the first female racers. At the very least, it was like racing in that town. At the very least, was all
definitely
forced to win there. Hence the Barnstormer nickname. She's gonna get in there. She's gonna get racing, which of course does kind of build some good payoff with Cruz later on.
Mm. Okay, so let's go into Sally and Mater. Not too much with these guys.
Yeah, that's kind of a shame.
Like Sally was a really good character in the original Cars. I like how they still use her as a lawyer. She's still very much like in this movie. She's kind of like the lawyer for McQueen. You know what I mean?
Which we completely forgot about in 2 because again, there's no room for her in 2.
Not at all. So I like how she at least has a role. Mater, honestly, I really like what they did with Mater. To me, Dragon, I have a fancy nickname for what they did with Mater. You want to hear it?
What is it?
It's a classy Binks. It's a classy Binks.
Classy Binks.
It's a classy Binks.
It's a shame. I don't want to get into all I'm saying again. Mater has had some Mater, I think, just works better in short form because he has the Mater shorts with Mater. All the shorts of Mater have always been kind of fun. Just that, I guess just when we kind of, as in the feature length thing, might kind of killed all the Mater love. That's the thing. Mater was a beloved character.
But hear me out. I definitely think that obviously the reason why we don't have a lot of Mater in this film is because, Cars 2, he shouldn't have been the main focus of Cars. Honestly, Dragon, I think it was less he shouldn't have been the main focus of Cars 2, more the spy stuff. Anyways, we could kind of talk about that.
Yeah, again, believe me, we could go on Cars 2 all day. Let's not get into too much of that.
Of course. But anyways, what I'm trying to say with Mater is I don't know, like, I think they found just the right balance with him, like, because they definitely show him supporting McQueen. They have all the, the running jokes with the ridiculous hats that he wears.
I love the ridiculous hat joke, though. I love that joke.
And, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's at all the races. He's supporting McQueen as the best he can. Dragon, I think one of my favorite moments that didn't quite make the top 3 of my favorite moments is when Lightning calls Mater in the junkyard.
Ah, yes.
Just because Cars Land, like, oh, it's basically Mater's Junkyard Jamboree. Oh, I'm sorry, but I just really like that genuine moment Mater has. Like, well, I ain't the best at talking, but I like to think I'm there for people when I need them, when they need me, and I can. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not really paraphrasing it that well, but it's like Mater's just being very humble, like he's not the most smart guy and he knows it, but he's very earnest and genuine about wanting to be there for McQueen.
Yeah, the crux of that scene is really nice. Is that it's McQueen really just kind of airing out kind of that what if of like, well, what if I just stuck around? Basically saying, what if I did retire? And of course, Mater saying, being the biggest supporter of like McQueen saying, well, why would you say that? And again, just being there for him, but still just kind of pointing out that no, you got if you have something left in you, you're gonna keep going with it.
Right. So good stuff all around with Mater. I don't know. Like I said, I think it's instead of just having Mater show up like for one scene, like wink at the audience and then drive off.
Yeah, they could have just had him like at the beginning where he's just they have the gag where basically the movie opens with them kind of winking nod the folks, just to mess with you. We're gonna say, hey, what if Mater was in the movie? And then he's gonna leave. Where he's like he interrupts McQueen's, like I'm faster, I'm quicker.
Oh, that's right. That is at the very beginning. You're right. That is a meta joke, I think. It's like, oh boy, here we go.
And then they kind of put in check with saying, yeah, okay, well, then we have Mater on the side just wearing funny hats.
So yeah, you know what I mean though. It's like I very much think this was the classiest job they could have done with Mater. Like, could he use more screen time? Maybe. I think Sally is the one that could have used a little more screen time. But
yes, and we'll get into it with pros and cons stuff. Okay. But just on the whole, they're very minimal, but they're both certain motivations for the
All right, so I think the next ones. Let's get into what I like to call the lightning round.
That's it, like that.
Yeah. Okay, so these are just all, of course, Dragon. The thing with the Cars movies, and of course we'll get into it with pros and cons as well, is a lot of characters, but not really good screen time distribution.
I guess.
Okay, so lightning round. Let's start with Lightning's pit crew: Luigi, Guido, and Mac.
Well, I love all three of these characters because first of all, we have an excellent cast because we have, of course, the fantastic
Tony Shalhoub.
Yes, oh my god, I love Tony Shalhoub. Remember, he was my Penguin pick. If they So I still stand by that. Tony Shalhoub he's fantastic. I'm not saying just for Monk. He's good in everything. Tony Shalhoub is a very talented man. Anyway, saw him in Nurse Jackie recently. He's really good. Anyway, but yeah, of course, I always loved just Guido and Guido, by the way, is Guido Caron. He's been with Pixar ever since Toy Story 2, and he's actually he's an animator.
Yeah, Guido. Honestly, I really loved Guido in the original Cars. I thought that. His arc with the pit stop thing was just like, his moment at the end of the race was just so satisfying to me.
Yeah. And then Luigi gets a really good bit, as we gushed about briefly with Cars 2. He has a really great bit in Cars 2.
Yes, with the Italy thing, yeah.
Yeah, we go there. And of course, there's always a lot of love for these two. And the fact that Luigi is basically he's like the most passionate car shoe salesman ever, essentially.
Of course, Luigi has a big presence in Cars Land Dragon. He's the star of an attraction, and he's also there at the beginning of the race. He's like, 1 for the money, 2 for the show. He's the guy waving the flag as you take off in Radiator Springs Racers. So
absolutely, and again, those two were always like some of the most appealing characters in Radiator.
They're kind of like unofficial mascots of. I think. Well, I don't know. It's interesting. Like I feel like Lightning and Mater are kind of like the faces of Cars.
Yeah.
I think Luigi and Guido are almost kind of like the mascot of Cars, if that makes any sense.
Because, again, like, short of those two, if I ever see, like, shorts from Radiator Springs, I would imagine those two guys would be the go-to. Because, again, Luigi has so much personality. But then, honestly,
Luigi and Guido just bounce off each other so well, too.
Honestly, to be fair, the majority of the people in Radiator Springs work better in pairs. Because, of course, you got Lightning and Mater, you got Lightning and Sally, and importantly, you got
Fillmore and Sarge.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Fillmore and Sarge work as a great pair, and then of course you have your solo guys like Red and then the Sheriff,
and of course Flo and Ramon as well.
Yeah, they really should use they should have used the sheriff more in this movie.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just saying it would have been nice. He was really close with that. It would have been nice to see a little bit more from him. Anyway. But yeah, so the point is, I just they were good. Just could have used more from because they were kind of some fan favorites from Cars, Guido.
Sure.
And of course, Mac was in there just the right amount. Of course, Mac just having like the brilliant idea of the disguise.
Right. That was great. Okay. Then speaking of that leads us into Miss Fritter. Dragon, I really love the demolition derby scene. We won't get too much into that, but yeah, Miss Fritter, she's just like a great sort of like, a combination of like at first she's just like even scarier than Jackson Storm. You know what I mean? She's like a monster.
She's kind of the Frankie from the first. Remember Frank the giant the grain. The giant thing with the swirling blade you have on a farm that kind of gets the grain, the corn, and stuff.
Right.
She's kind of a fill-in for Frank in many ways.
Sure. I don't know. I don't have much to say about her.
Well, no, I'm with you. I think she has a great design. Miss Ford has nice design. I like the character trait. She loves Lightning McQueen, but in that scene, she doesn't know that's Lightning McQueen. And I think the thing I took away from her most is love the idea of is this. So the concepts you go all day with like some brilliant car concepts. It's great character car concepts. And Miss Ford, I love the idea that it's a school bus that again is literally has the occupation of a school bus. Now I doubt that. I don't know how that works. I don't want to think about how that works.
Let's not.
All I can say is I'm just saying the clean way of me thinking how that works is like she like has like a stop sign, like a crossing guard, just kind of leads them to school.
Sure.
I'm just saying that's my logic on it. I don't want to let's not get too far into it. My point is, I love the idea she is like mentioning she actually is a school bus driver. But who does this on like Sundays or like on the weekend just for fun? That cracks me up about Miss Fur. And also, she's from Orange is the New Black, hence the glasses. That's why the windshield looks like glasses. Anyway,
let's get to Rusty and Dusty. Yeah, these two are voiced by real life brothers, Ray and Tom Magliozzi. Okay, I know I'm butchering that. Magliozzi. Yeah. Anyways,
yeah, these guys were a great kind of like full circle thing with the Cars franchise.
Yeah, they were. They really were. Because at the beginning of the Cars franchise, like, remember, Lightning kind of has that great existential crisis of working under the Rusty's brand and how awful it would be. And
we saw with these guys, even with the Rusty's brand, even if we could identify with McQueen saying, oh my God, these Rusty cars really aren't like the most like keeping clientele. But you see these two guys really do love the heck out of Lightning. Saying, don't drive like my brother or my brother. Like they are really nice guys.
Yeah, and but you know what I mean about kind of that. That's what I mean about the full circle thing they have in the movie is.
Oh yeah.
Anyways,
no, I'm with you. We'll more on that. Yeah, more on that later.
Of course. Okay.
It's nice to see him again. Hell, you're really nice kind of out. So let's say that much.
Yeah.
I guess past the brothers.
Okay, let's get into Chick Hicks. Yeah, it's not Michael Keaton.
That bugs. I'm gonna list that again in my comments. That bugs the crap out of me.
I honestly, the only reason I don't care is because I didn't notice it in the moment. But I'm just glad to see him back. Like when he popped up, I was like, ha, that's amusing. Yeah,
I like how they worked him in. I love the logic of this. I like it.
The sports commentator that's just like obviously biased and talking shit about McQueen the whole movie.
That's it. It's the lot. That's why I'm so mad at it because I love the logic of this, and Keaton would roll with this. It's the fact.
Oh, look! If Keaton had to go make The Founder and he was too busy to record lines for Cars 3, then it was worth it. Okay.
But let me fine. Just talking about Chicks himself. Here's the reason I love the Chicks idea. Here is that I love the idea that he is. I love that's all told visually too. Is that while Chicks is Chick is a commentator. Of course, he's going to talk about the racing because he won the Piston Cup from the first movie.
Of course.
And what he does is it's right next to him at all times. He basically is still brandishing that piston from years ago, and he's just he's so boastful about it. Because remember when he won that piston, because he really did like a despicable thing. Everyone saw. We're just kind of he wrecked the king to win that piston cup.
That was like a really dark Pixar moment that no one talks about.
Yeah, and we had that great moment where again we have like justice for a great comeuppance for him. Where, yeah, he wins. Like they blast the confetti. Hey, easy with the confetti, and he gets blasted with the confetti, and it's like, hey, this jerk won. No one cares, but they all care about lightning and the king.
Sure,
And
sure.
that was just and he's still kind of riding the coattails of, well, yeah, he did win. And it's kind of like we go to the sports stars for like for commentators.
Yeah,
So like,
yeah.
yeah, logically, I would imagine like, yeah, we're going with everyone else, and he did win a Piston Cup, yeah. But we're gonna get to talk about the Piston Cups and the races from the Piston Cup. Well, I guess chick kicks. Be so verbose. Yeah, I know, but the studio wants us. Anyway,
Okay, let's get into the king.
yeah. So the King and then just the rest of the racing, and
Yeah.
the Dynaco, the kind of the Dynaco, and then the kind of
Yeah,
the
so the
Queen's
king,
racer.
Cal, Tex, Bobby.
Yeah, Bob. This to me again, I like the world building here. I like the sense of history. I like the Chick Hicks thing. I like the sense of history we get here. That the idea is the king, and it's still Rich Petty, by the way. The racer Rich Petty voiced the king. It just sounds a
Mhm.
little. That's all. Um, the idea is that after his wreck, that was his last race, and again, eerily similar to what McQueen's kind of been going through.
Sure, sure.
The king, he after his race, after he got patched up and everything, of course, he basically and again a good foreshadow for what happens to McQueen again. Bigly is that he is the crew chief. He's the guy on the headset giving the instructions
Mhm.
to Cal, his nephew. And I like the sense of history. Getting one of my again, we'll get this in prose. The thing with Cal and Bobby. And McQueen has these two racer buddies, and Diane Cole always kind of takes their shots at the nephew. It's kind of like the old Roy Disney, the idiot nephew.
Yeah.
It's like it's a term of endearment. It's like they don't really think he's that inept. They're just like, oh yeah, Roy. We thought of him like, oh, this guy's never gonna be able to manage it, but he did. And that's kind of they feel they bust Cal's chops like, hey McQueen, anytime you want the Dynaco thing, and they know McQueen doesn't want the Dynaco thing. Hey, you asked for a heartbeat. Of course, they have a lot of reverence and love for McQueen after what he did for the king.
Mhm.
And his Bobby's there too, just like as another racer that McQueen's knows, and of course is
And
that
again,
kind of.
this is kind of what I was talking about, like with the gentle like rivalry between the Queen and Bobby and Cal and all that.
It's like
they're
these
kind of
guys are like constant like in the lead, and it's like McQueen's racing friends.
yeah, and they're kind of like making jabs at each other, but it's all like it's kind of like friends playing Mario Kart. You know what I mean? Like they could trash talk, but they're not
Yeah,
vicious with each other.
not like again like Storm. Storm's really mean about it.
But like you said, Storm's mean about it in such a subtle, cutting way.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see who's next.
I believe it's Natalie.
Natalie. All right. I don't know. I really like her. She's again. She's just kind of like I like her. Like she's the sports analyst, like the statistics analyst on Chick's sports talk show. And the only thing I really like about her is that she obviously like doesn't want to be there with Chick, and she like Chick is just getting under her skin.
Yeah. The main takeaway for me, honestly, with her is that while you're right, that is funny. It's just kind of it's like we really kind of wasted Kerry Washington. We have like a wonderful. She was in Django for pity's sake, and we can't. Kerry Washington, and she's just we kind of underutilized her. Basically, she's an oddsman, and then she's much more than Cruz Ramirez. She is very much a plot device. She's basically the one saying on the news, like on the sports channel. Basically, she outlines like the top speeds and like McQueen's his odds, his chances, percentages.
Mhm.
Not much on development for. I mean, the only development she has, like, hey, she's impressed by Cruz Ramirez. That was something unexpected. That's all she really gets into her character arc. I'm sorry, it's that, and she doesn't like Chick Hicks, which was again the rest of the population. Again, the coolest thing about Chick Hicks, by the way, is always remember this: Chick Hicks is a car with a mustache,
Yes. Godspeed.
and all of his crew chiefs have a mustache. Anyway,
Okay, this is gonna go by really fast, Dragon. Any memorable moments at all with the Radiator Springs residents?
they were kind of talking up the press when they got there, so they saying, "Oh yeah, Lightning, he's got this in the bag." And we had Flo, and importantly, I guess Ramon, of course, had a big plot role.
Yeah, Ramon gives Lightning his new paint job, which, what do you think of that? I really do like the idea of like Lightning's paint jobs throughout the movie.
Yeah, I like the various paint jobs.
And
Yes.
you know what, Dragon? That's just kind of going back to my Iron Man 3 comparison. Maybe that's, I was,
No, I'm seeing the Iron Man 3 parallel.
yeah, okay. Anyways. Yeah,
Especially with the red and gold too. That's also
I like how they call back to Red being really emotional when Lightning leaves. That was nice. Fillmore and Sarge bounce off each other pretty well in the few lines they get.
Really could have used more of those guys. He's got another fun pairing, but again, the fun pairing is its whole. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, okay, let's go into pros and cons because I feel like
Well, what about yes, pros and cons. Sorry, yes.
Yeah, because I feel like my next thought is kind of a good transitioning point between pros and cons.
I just want to start with cons when we get to this part.
Okay, while my original idea for this film was to go much more into like the Radiator Springs element with it, like the small town vibe, I think that the biggest pro I can give this movie is the focus on the actual racing element and Lightning as a character and looping it all back around to him. And while it's not necessarily the direction I would have gone with it, like I said, I would have personally liked to see more from the Radiator Springs guys myself. I can see how, even though, so basically the pro is that we get a lot of good character development from Lightning's end. The con is, of course, everyone else is sort of left on the sidelines, but it's a much better plot and a much better payoff than Cars 2. All right.
So it's just firing through pros?
I'm kind of we can just bounce around.
Oh.
It's anarchy, Dragon.
Yeah, it is anarchy. Well, again, I love that we address in the story we're addressing the logical outcomes for McQueen's story. I mean, that's again this with the being a rookie, you can't be a rookie forever. So again, logically, at some point, there's going to be someone else better who's going to come along, kind of steal his thunder. Well, again, steals Lightning. And again, I love that we show one of my favorite parts of the movie. I guess is I love the opening sequence of Lightning losing. Starting to lose his edge. Just with that opening act, just Act 1 as a whole, I really liked Act 1. So a lot of people aren't crazy about Act 1. I've noticed in a few kind of reviews, but I did enjoy. Because Act 1 essentially, a large part of Act 1 is honestly, I think Act 1 ends with when Queen wrecks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
But the point is, Act 1, it's that great sequence. It's I love how subtle it is. McQueen he's starting to come in second. Very humble, but then he's starting to come in second again. Then when Jack Storm comes on, he comes second. Then he comes in less than second. Further and further down the line, then his friends keep getting replaced. It's a great, just kind of he's like on the.
It's got a really good beat to it. You know what I mean? It's got a really good momentum to how they show it.
Yeah. Again, they're not shying away from the fact that, again, failing is a part of life, kids.
Right. Let me see.
The biggest pro.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, the biggest pro we have to acknowledge before we go any further is
the Newman of it all.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Freaking yes! While I was watching, me was flabbergasted. Like, how the heck did they like some of the lines you were saying? Like, this wasn't all audio from the first movie. Did they use did they do the Brando thing where they made him say new things? Did they do that?
It's pretty incredible, Dragon. It's pretty incredible.
Well, what they actually did, apparently these were takes from the original Cars movie that he recorded and they didn't use. So again, they used the mixture of that with stuff he did record, and it was just they used just all the Paul Newman audio to keep Doc in the story and advance.
And it's very appropriate because it's all Lightning's memories of Doc, which is using our literal physical representations of Paul Newman, like our memories of Paul Newman through audio.
Absolutely. And of course, let's remember, folks, the reason why we harp on just kind of love for Paul Newman here and there is because, again, Paul Newman, in real life, Doc Hudson's character very representative of Paul Newman because he raced. He was an actual, there was a document.
For sure.
I encourage all of you, if you haven't, but I watched this. It wasn't, I'm sure now. It's on Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime is this wonderful documentary about Paul Newman, about his racing career. Less the acting. They cover the acting, like the roles he was taking at the time, but there's a big focus on his racing career. And again, this guy has a huge passion for it. And of course, the ending of that would be, of course, talking about cars. And it's going to get into the full circle quality of his life. You start off a racer and you kind of end a racer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always why there's always such kind of an importance there. And even in Cars 2, we had this wonderful moment where they kind of acknowledge, like, it was really soon after the loss there. It's like,
Cars
you know
2
what?
is funny because it has these brief little moments where it's like, yeah, we're gonna just give you a little hint of a good story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the
Just a
Radiator
little
Springs.
taste. Just a little taste. Go ahead.
You know,
I'm sorry.
like in Cars 2, when we're in Radiator Springs in the beginning, we do have like this sense of kind of how the world has evolved. You know, again, this is where Cars is at its best when we see the world building.
Of course, of course.
And the advancement of the world too, and with the events in the world with the Radiator Springs, that it's like, okay, well now Lightning is the Doc Hudson, is somewhat the Doc Hudson of the town. He is like, they built the Doc Hudson Museum, and he's all some of the Piston Cups are styled after Doc Hudson.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a nice way of acknowledging the loss. And again, it was still fresh at that time without realizing we could work him in a different route. And
well, I mean, I think it is smart that they did it the way they did in Cars 2, and then saved the big meaty stuff for Cars 3 as we had more time.
Absolutely, believe me.
Yeah,
all my favorite bits with Hudson are probably just we'll get into with moments, I guess. But yeah.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, T. You were going on about something.
Just basically, as I said, kind of like I really like the way they used Mater. Like, right. I think he had the perfect amount of screen time. I think they very much like redeemed his character in a lot of ways. As a con, again, like the Cruz Ramirez stuff, I've heard people call her a Mary Sue, and I don't disagree with that. I really don't. However, Dragon, as a pro, because we're anarchic here and, we're jumping around, as a pro, as I said,
I think it mean nomadic, Tiki.
I do like the backstory we get with Cruz Ramirez, the fact that her family was kind of like, just like very realistic in terms of setting goals for her, and that in a way was crushing to her, in terms of achieving her dreams. And and I love that moment, of course, we get to with Lightning and Cruz, like, you don't think I wanted to be a racer? I wanted to be a racer my whole life, like that is, I think, from that point on, at least, Dragon, is when we really get into Cruz and her character. But up until that point, she was grating for me. So
yeah, I mean, let's face it, Cruz. Here's the thing: going into the movie, I'm mixed on this, but I'll undercut it with a pro. Is that the Cruz switch at the end it's a buy.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that.
So yeah, sure, yeah. So the Cruz switch at the end, the fact that Lightning, he makes a big choice, and this is all kind of the stuff that Cruz wanted to be a racer. This setup is the payoff to that. Is that Sterling tells Cruz to go home, and this kind of throws McQueen off because he's making a realization as he hears it all kind of transpires that, hey, basically, Cruz has been denied her shot at it, I'm kind of in love with it, but at the same time, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm going to go for it because, again, I wish it was based on more. I wish we liked her more as a character, and wish she was good from the beginning instead of just kind of we start to build her when she's training with McQueen under Smokey onward.
Right.
The important thing is that with that Smokey thing, we have this fantastic moment where we realize basically we have here's the matchstick moment of Cars 3. Matchstick moment of Cars 3.
Okay, lay it on me.
As far as I'll have to give it a second one. I'm pretty convinced that the matchstick moment of Cars 3 is when Lightning is racing. He's racing Cruz, and like they have one last race before they have to go to Florida 500, and McQueen's kind of hit by, I don't want to say PTSD, but he's kind of hit by some anxiety and basically kind of, again, just the realization that he's not going to be able to do it. And we see that, again, Cruz won, and they're all taken aback by it. And that's the matching moment where you think, okay, we know where it's going. McQueen's going to win, that he's going to be all hyped up for the thing. And him losing that is just kind of like,
oh, I like that.
Again, I love how this pays off too. It's kind of a matchstick moment.
It's sort of like what if at the end of the Rocky training montage, like Rocky just collapsed, like almost at the top of the stairs, but not quite at the top of the stairs.
I love the unpredictability, hence the matchstick moment. The unpredictability that comes from that, of like, well, again, they're all just kind of like uneasy now instead of just them being all confident in McQueen's ability.
I hear you.
Lost.
I like that a lot.
And the logic that pays off there's a very literally, again, as much as you can train. I do like that we set up so, again, you're not sure it could go either way, kind of like a Rocky thing. It could go either way. That while McQueen is learning tricks, and the most important lesson that Smokey imparts upon McQueen is, you're not going to get, you have to be smart. You're getting old. You have to accept that you're old, but you have to basically outthink the other racer, which when we see with Doc, you're kind of doing the flip. doing all these other tricks and such.
Mm-hmm.
You basically have to outthink your component. You basically have to compensate for your handicap in this case. And I love that gives us like, okay, McQueen might have a shot at it, but again, very statistically, there's McQueen is just simply he's like a few miles behind Cruz and many miles behind Jackson Storm.
Right.
The fact that after all the training, if she's faster than McQueen, it's just by all means like Cruz has a legitimate shot at beating, has a better shot at beating Storm than McQueen does technically.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they acknowledge it, this is why I'm kind of in love with the Switch, but at the same time, I really wish we got behind her more. So like, I'd be pumping my fist in the air, yeah, instead of like, oh, that's a risk. Like Sterling's feel like, oh my god, what's happening here?
We're almost kind of more pumping our fist for Pixar more than Cruise itself. You know,
that's the thing, yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, Pixar, that's ballsy. Dragon, you know a thing that I absolutely do not think they should have done with the end? I really didn't like the whole thing where Lightning was the co-winner of the race.
Yeah, a lot of people really dicey.
I'm not big on that at all. I'm not big on that at all. I think that was a cop-out. That was them having their cake and eating it too.
I agree with you to a point, Tiki. Here's why I'm coming down on that. I come down on that in that I think I'm okay. Again, I have to see how it holds up on a second watch. I think I'm okay with that because the idea, in like an actual race, again, this is where we reach the kind of the weird kind of logic of the cars. Well, that's where I think that's why people really just instantly one-sided about it. On a team of racers, as long as you put the 95 on, then you could, you could probably possibly go at it because different people would go inside of a car and drive around. Possibly that's kind of how actual NASCAR works.
I'm not talking about actual NASCAR. I'm talking about storytelling.
I'm just saying because the 95 explanation, I bought into the 95 explanation. Again, I'm telling you, all that's somewhat of a buy. So that's why I'm mixed up. I'll take the thing then because he started the race and it's like logically he did run half the race. So I mean, I don't know.
All right. Any other pros?
Otherwise, you have to take the full law. They have to take everything away from them. That's the thing.
Uh-huh.
All right. Let's forth again. All chaos here. So. Of course, the locations and the technology, which you mentioned, the animation on the old footage, because again, it wasn't black and white, but my God, the grain on the old footage for the flashbacks and all the dot cuts and stuff, I was in love with.
Sure. Of course, grainy Pixar footage, Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
We love it.
Yep, I already mentioned the uneasy discovery that McQueen's still not fast enough. Again, great arc for McQueen and him becoming the new Doc Hudson, as I've always wanted to see.
Dragon, what I was talking about with the world building, let's get back to that just a little bit really quickly. I really do think the world building, like, they expanded on the small town element, but they did so with other towns like Thunder Hollow and Thomasville.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that. It's like those towns are other sort of like Radiator Springs-esque towns.
Yes.
Whereas Cars 2 is just more kind of like globe-trotting to like Paris and Italy and whatnot. Anyways, go ahead.
Just to hit some cons here because again, I've been really talking up the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Here's something, and this is an interesting con. I can sense in the film, and this comes across in many places. I can sense the fear and hesitation with Mater, and it's not just Mater. I'm saying with elements in the film, Mater is being kind of most glaring, which is it's a little noticeable. Especially, I can feel the fear of them trying not to do another Cars 2 in places. That's why the Mater thing is so apparent. And I wonder if I'm wondering if that's a con, but at the same time, it's just the fact that it's kind of apparent. Also, just with the plot, and that it's very kind of a simplistic plot. They want to complicate things. And that feels like they're holding back a little.
I hear you. Like it could have been more cerebral than it was. You know what I mean?
And I feel they're playing it safe because they were afraid of maybe kind of going down it. The last time they were a little ambitious with Cars, it kind of backfired. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yes, it did. Yeah.
Well, again, let's not pile on. I'm just pointing it out.
But I do see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, Cruz is again just with the problem with Cruz. That Cruz is really dumb and green in Act 1.
Dumb and bossy and just unpleasant.
And they had major problems with the humor in Cars 3, to be honest with you. There are a lot of there's some jokes that really just fall flat,
Yeah,
and
I
it's kind of
agree. I agree.
and a lot of those are by Cruise, hence the dumb things. The two big moments for Cruise that really torpedo her in the first two acts is that the old jokes on McQueen, because we know he's not that old, all right. It's just it's like we're trying to like to do kind of like we've seen the best sort of elderly jokes we've ever seen in Up.
Exactly.
There's no topping that. And basically, she's treating him like he's Carl Fredrickson, which we know he's not. And again, and it seems like she's deliberately wasting his time. She's starting off at 5 miles an hour. She's giving him a drip pen, which is unnecessarily embarrassing for McQueen, and calling him, "Well, man, use it." Just really stupid. And again, it's like she's not even training like the rest of the guys. It just feels like really pointless. Again, I understand like she's
there's definitely some cringe there, Dragon. Act 2, I think, with the training stuff is like, yeah, that was my least favorite section of the film.
Because I mean, let's face it, all right. Let's face it. Is that again, logically, it should be okay if they're going to do a thing where McQueen trains in the high tech stuff, and it's just it's either it's not grabbing it for some reason, or like this is again he just realized he needs to train on the ground. He needs to train with actual dirt versus technology. That's one thing that we need to get him to that point. But doing it in such like a drawn out way, that's what's waste of time they could have used for other things, especially with all the kind of the characters that come and splicing together screen time.
Sure.
And the other thing, Cruz, was she had a really stupid one I really can't abide by with the whole demolition derby bit, where you at the end, like, this is my problem with the demolition derby bit, is that it's a little conventional because we end the exact way. It's like, oh, okay, then McQueen's going to get exposed, and we do that through the dumbest way possible. That Cruz just can't stop, and she hits upon this water, like the water tank almost crashes into her, and like it we know what's coming. That to me is the most predictable part of the entire film.
Okay, I hear you.
I really with the humor, Sally's stinky joke I think was stupid.
Oh yeah, that was dumb.
And again, these are the moments like that's a scene where Sally should just be pointing like she's looking at the monster movie lighting. Okay, that's good for Sally, but again, like that and the lawyer stuff, that's good for Sally. But it's like her just like making these like a running joke of like, hey, Stinky, it's like you're supposed to, the man crashed and he's going through his mentor's experience. He almost died. A little sympathy. I know it's been months and okay, call him on it, but ease him out of it. Don't mock him like that.
I hear you.
What's wrong with you? Read a page from Kim Wexler's book. Okay. Sarcasm with love.
All right.
We went to the Switch. It's by. Oh yeah, now this is an important one too. We gotta have a real quick before we move on. Last thing. I tell you, Tiki, every time I hear people talking about their theater experience with it, and it's my theater experience with it the first time, I'm convinced of this, Tiki. I'm really hoping that on the rewatch I'm convinced of this, but this definitely is not a film for young kids.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
I don't mean because of the darkness. I mean literally, it's just it can't hold their attention. This is a film. This is a film that their target demographic. This is for their own redemption. Of like anyone who didn't like Cars 2, we're going to try to win them over. And
that is so true. So this is a film for basically like
it can be for like 10 years. I think 10 years old onwards. Like it's not for young kids.
No.
Fuck all the young.
No. It's for a bunch of millennial 20-something-year-old douchebags like us who like just want to have our cake and eat it too when it comes to Pixar and can't be satisfied. I'm sorry, I'm being self-deprecating, but
I'm saying yes. Technically, that's kind of that's
the mean way of putting it.
Yes, that's the mean way of putting it. That's the like directly like deep down. That's obviously that's the target. That's the target audience. I'm saying broadly. I'm saying who I could imagine like a young like teenage maybe teenage kid onward
getting sort of like how I appreciated the original Cars and kind of a mature level as a high school freshman back in the day.
Yeah, but still, I see young, but like there were like really young kids in the theater who just here's the thing, it wasn't that they were scared or anything. It was they were not focused on the movie at all. Because again, I understand how. Because again, like there's not really anything kind of. It's not again. Of course, the big comparison for recently is that Cat in Underpants. I'm sure would keep their attention a lot more than
Cars. God, yes.
Because again, Cars 3 is like we're cerebrally trying to end it here. We're trying to. We're trying to have like a poignant ending, and we're kind of paralleling some stuff here. Like, that's going to go over like a little kid's head easily.
I can see.
The only thing that again, it is very much like a young kid's going to take it away from like, oh, shiny new cars.
Oh,
I'm
God.
sorry, that's the truth. Like, ooh, shine you. Like, I want I want Jackson Storm.
You see, it is a difficult name.
No, it's not. I just, it's not a difficult name. I was thinking Johnny Storm for a second.
Anyways.
All right. And also, of course, it was surpassed by the short. The short was fantastic. So again, the comments.
Yeah, just really quick. I'm sorry we kind of buried the lead on the short, but yeah, the short is amazing. We're gonna do a full, we're gonna do a full thing covering the short. So
Yeah.
okay, Dragon, let's get into my favorite moments, and then you'll quickly do your favorite moments. We can wrap up and get out of here. So okay, that. Okay, so let's kind of go chronological here. I really like the moment on the beach, Dragon, and this is honestly like, this was the moment where I started to warm up to Cruz, and then the moment that we were talking about with, with the family thing was when I sort of was fully on Cruz's side. And Dragon, honest to God, I just love this moment because of the animation and the photorealistic water and the music. I just think it's edited really well and it looks really good, and it shows the passage of time. I don't have much to say about it. Just like it's a really good training montage, and I kind of like this is the start of Lightning sort of passing the torch on to Cruz, even though he doesn't even realize he's doing it yet.
Yeah.
He's sort of teaching Cruz how to drive on the water or drive on the sand. As I said, I like it more for the technical element of it. Like Pixar just does water really well, and I really like looking at Pixar water. But it's just and I love the history of this beach as well. I wish we had a name on the beach. I wish we could remember the name, but
Well, just yeah, there's a name we just can't think of.
there is, yeah, yeah. But I like how it's like, again, it's like one of those things, and I feel like all the moments I have kind of have it in common, where there's a sense of history to all my moments.
Yeah, because remember the reason for that sense of history. These are all locations that Doc Hudson had driven on.
Sure, sure. Okay, now Thunder Hollow. Let's talk about this. I really like the demolition derby element to it, Dragon. I'm not going to get into full Cars Land speculation here, but all I'll say is that if they did have an expansion to Cars Land based on Cars 3, I would want it to be Thunder Hollow. I would really like a demolition derby ride. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Honestly, I don't think you should hold your breath on that one because again, it's a little too negative. Like, hey, cars smashing into each other.
I don't know.
And they're all sentient and living beings. They're smashing into each other. It's like, hey.
You don't want to see a Miss Fritter animatronic?
I want to see that, yes. I'm just saying, as long as it doesn't go exactly like them, as long as that's not like a bumper car trashing or something. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I'm picturing like something in between like Mystic Manor and bumper cars, to be honest. You like trackless. But anyways, I'm getting off track.
Oh, but also Pizza Plant Truck was in the scene. It was
Yes.
brutally murdered, but it was in this.
Yes, it was.
Murdered, but it was. I'm going to hope it wasn't murdered. I'm just going to say it was brutally beaten.
Dragon, that is another. It also A113 was
the darkest Pizza Plant thing we've ever had.
It is. A113 was like right there, right centered, like on.
That was a door. It's kind of. I'm on the side of a door, like the actual A113, which is nice. It's a fancy sliding door.
Yeah. I like how the Easter eggs were very noticeable in this movie, like the Pizza Planet truck and the A113.
God, it's like the rocket literally flew off as a souvenir, like catching it's like catching us like a
oh man,
like a tooth or something from a boxing match. Oh god.
Okay, I don't know. Like Dragon, there are flaws with the scene. I'll admit the ending was a little obnoxious with Cruz, but as I said, I just thought it was a lot of fun to have the demolition derby. It was something different in the Cars universe. Also, Dragon. Well, hold on. I'll get into it. Just going back to this original image here, I really, really love all the stuff with Smokey and. Oh God, I'm sorry. What's the name of the town? Thomasville, right?
Yes, Thomasville.
Yeah, I really love the moment where first of all, I like Lightning.
Definitely my favorite of the locations, Thomasville.
Yeah, I like Lightning being like, I don't know that I don't know that Smokey's going to be there. I don't even know if he's alive, but he just has to do it for himself. It's like a personal journey of his.
And Cruz is constantly. I'm sorry. Please go on.
Yeah, as I said, I love the look of like the abandoned bleachers and everything, and the old dusty racetrack, and then Smokey making his appearance. And my two favorite moments, Dragon. Two other famous moments, favorite moments, really quick. I really like the look for the Gap thing with the tractors. That was a fun way to get the tractors back in it.
Mm-hmm.
And also a fun kind of racing analogy. Like I could totally like see it applying. Like it was very.
It was a little forced though when all the cars on the actual race turned into the tractors. That was a little much.
I kind of like that.
You gotta admit that was a
I
little.
didn't mind that.
I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying it was a little much.
I didn't mind it. I thought it was funny.
Can't we just have a call back to again? Yeah, we had that scene with the tractors, and like she can remember that. No, we have to really show it through her eyes what she's seeing.
Okay, and then finally, Dragon. I love that little kid. Who at the beginning of the movie, he's totally a huge fan of Lightning McQueen. He's like, Lightning McQueen! And then at the end of it, he's just like, Cruz Ramirez! That's just a fun little bookends to the movie. Okay, go ahead. What are your favorite moments?
Just real quick with the Cruz thing, and she has like one of her again. She really does. After she meets Smokey, that's when she starts to come alive for me. But that moment though, when she meets Smokey, is like, come on, we're really doing this joke where she literally tells. She's like telling Smokey to his face, "Oh, good, you're not dead." Like, come on, man, a little respect.
Yeah.
Always like, oh yeah, he's most likely dead. Come on, that's depressing, man. It's in the hometown that guy was his mentor who is now dead. A little respect, I don't know.
Dragon, you and I think we both agree Cruz is like, there's some redeeming elements of her, but definitely the weakest part of the movie.
Yeah. Then again, it's kind of a problem when the movie hinges on her shoulder. Well, her car shoulder.
In a way.
Okay, a few things real quick. Of course, this one was go back where you're just mentioning. Honestly, with some reflection, I would say it's that whole opening montage of McQueen losing over time, but more specifically, the crash punchline to it, where it's that moment where we see McQueen actually fading, and it's like, that's the thing we didn't get from the show. We see they mention he's fading. We get to see it from his perspective, like this McQueen's he's putting all he has into that thing, that's really dangerous for him, and so he doesn't take that full pit stop.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that it harkens back to McQueen's initial fault, where he where the tire always gets him. The back tire went out just like it did in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Which of course led to a much more lethal. And it wasn't both tires going out; it was one tire at a Mach speed, just completely torpedoing in the most realistic, brutal way. And of course, the end of Act 1. That's a great way to end Act 1. All right, moving forward. Let's see. I guess going chronologically. It's kind of a dual moment. It's sort of the McQueen meeting Sterling, but also the moment before that where the Rusty basically learned that Rusty and Dusty, and this is a real sweet moment with these guys. I love that we brought them back with purpose. Is that they never have they lost faith in McQueen even after all losses. They stuck by him, and it's a really kind of heartfelt goodbye, just like them saying, "Well, we gave him what." It's a very kind of perennial thing, sort of that whole, we couldn't give you what you needed, the high tech simulator and everything.
Sure.
So we sold the company to Sterling here, for the Rusty's. I like that's still called Rusty's, the Rusty's Racing Center, which is nice. Unfortunately, this is I kind of got a call back that I think Sterling really overreacted. When McQueen crashed through the simulator, we really didn't need that moment.
Yeah, I agree.
Because again, my issue with that is that when McQueen crashed through the thing, it just through such inept circumstances. I wish it was like he actually got on a simulator, he underperformed, then Sterling just told him what he told him. I just wish we did that instead of like, oh, it's.
You broke the fancy machinery, Lightning.
That's
how
way
much we paid for that.
It seems it doesn't read like that. It reads directly because right after that scene, then Sterling tells him we were going to Plan B. It just feels like, well, no, that was a mishap, and then you're going to the nuclear option, Sterling. What the heck? Anyway, going to a positive thing with Sterling. So the main crux I'm going for is I love the when he meets Sterling and Sterling ingratiates himself. And this is kind of Nathan Fillion as most likable, and he's just like he's showing the museum. He's got,
as I said, he's kind of like Lotso light.
Yeah, you're right. He's kind of
look how awesome this place is.
Yeah, and again, it's like a lot of references. Love him kind of walking him through the little collection he's got. A little museum of the dirt in the jars. I mean, that to me, I like that segment.
I love the dirt in the jars. Yeah, that's a great idea.
And here's the thing, I like that as
I could totally see that being in a queue for a Cars Land ride.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, just all that stuff. And that to me, I like that setting up kind of our locations. Like if we're gonna do this, at least we set it up there. Like okay, there's some Doc Hudson and all this.
Right, right.
Again, speaking of duck, let's get to my kind of my last two moments here. So I love that anytime we see McQueen being shown footage of Doc Hudson, mainly if I had to pick one, because first of all, just seeing it all and again him with like in all his glory, honestly seeing Doc Hudson, again, it was a complete surprise that we're going to see Doc Hudson as much as we did, and hearing him speak nonetheless, new
Yeah,
lines.
like we knew he was going to show up, but I assumed it was going to be like, like one scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
when we saw McQueen going over the crash footage, I think, okay, well, that's logical. That's us seeing the thing, and later on, just seeing him when he recreated the moment, and he echoing that one of my honestly, it's my favorite moment from the first Cars movie. We had that in the movie where he tells him I had a lot left in me.
yeah, I agree. That was a fantastic moment.
And the fact that they recreated that in the new animation and everything. So the point is, all that. Anytime we saw Doc Hudson, the old footage was great. The best one for me probably being when he does the flipper and he's pushed against a wall and maybe he kind of flips over and Cruz does that move later on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But setting that up was really good. And of course, just doing this for Smokey. But my main point is Smokey shows him that footage, and we get the really poignant moment. And for me, the best moment in Cars 3, I'm going to say, obviously, for me, absolutely the best moment in Cars 3, is the moment where we really hit upon Smokey notices he's going with Lightning, and he says, they walk out. They don't walk out. Sorry, they drive outside the bar, the diner or the bar, whatever we call it. They drive outside, and they say, "This is what are you here for?" He says, "Yeah, I'm here. The train for races." That's not all. That's not why you're here, is it? Like, what's the real reason? And basically, what this builds to is a Smokey basically Lightning revealing he hardly knew Doc, and basically like after McQueen airing out his arc in that, hey, I'm the same exact position as Doc Hudson's in, and I know after Doc got out of racing, while he did start in Route 66, he was really miserable. You don't know how miserable he was, and then Smokey just kind of stops in his tracks. Miserable, huh? You think he was miserable? He says, let me come out here. Let me show you something. He goes in this little room here, and he unveils this wall full of letters and thoughts.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Basically, he reveals, and this is like a fun little reveal for Lightning. It's just what his arc needs, and basically, this is hitting upon the heart of the film. That again, he was more father than mentor to Lightning. It's kind of what Lightning deep down is his arc throughout this whole film. Is kind of realizing how much Doc meant to him. That it's not racing; he's chasing kind of that. He's chasing Hudson in this movie in many respects.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that reveal, and this like something blows Lightning's mind, blows us the audience mind, that after, oh god, it's such a beautiful moment where on the wall we see these photographs and these letters. How cars write letters, that's not important. The point is, again, they type it up, but I don't know the voice.
Whatever.
But seriously, this beautiful
it's a John Lasseter, like, we don't care.
Yeah, but seriously, this whole wall full of letters and photos of Doc and Lightning driving, and all like the news clippings of Lightning winning the Piston Cups, and not win, maybe winning some of the Piston Cups, but
it's
point, like, all Lightning.
It really is.
And Smokey telling him that ever since Lightning came into his life, that that's when he started writing him again. That's when he started basically every it was in every letter. He mentioned every letter. You.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god, there's Lightning hearing that. It's like the ultimate confidence booster. Oh my gosh, hearing that Lightning brought Doc Hudson out of his funk after the crash.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I like how symbolic, like thematically we're setting some stuff up here. That again, Cruz. That's the path. We're setting up the path Lightning's going to take, where Cruz is going to be under his wing. See, to me, that's the reason I love this movie, dude. That's the less obvious way. That's the natural way of setting up the Cruz thing versus in that beach scene you were mentioning, Tiki, where it's like, hey, constantly Lightning has to teach Cruz how to drive in the sand because that was a great moment, but we kept doing it over and over again because you still had.
Like I said, I blatantly admit the reason I love that moment is just for the animation and the animation alone.
Yeah, it's like it's the one thing. Okay, nice that we're kind of we're suggesting that maybe she's going to learn from McQueen, not and say, but because we do it so often in that scene. Okay, well obviously we know where we're going with that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, this is like such a natural, beautiful way of setting up. They just like real quick, basically the payoff of all the Hudson stuff is that at the end, after winning the race, Dynaco, Lightning McQueen gets what he thought he wanted in the first Cars movie. He is now kind of sponsored by Dynaco, and he didn't need it. It's not a point where he didn't need it, but it's just the fact that Cruz is actually sponsored by Dynaco. And I love how we work in the blue dinosaur on the on the yellow backing on her on the.
Dragon, I hate to go down this road, but I honestly think the Dynaco thing is like the biggest supporter of the Pixar theory.
Yeah.
I really hate to go down that road, but it's just Dinoco exists in both the Cars universe and the Toy Story universe. It's like, come on. Anyways, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Anyway, just the fact, she has this really great paint jobs, and with the animation, of course, all the new paint jobs in the cars, and there's a great sheen to it all. And like she has a really classy kind of Dynaco logo on her, and she has Doc Hudson's number 51. That's such a great little sign. Passing of the torch there, and then we see lightning. I was unsure how I felt about this for a millisecond. I realized, oh my god, he's become Doc Hudson.
It's perfect. I think it's perfect.
And again, it's everything I want in the Cars in the Cars 3 embodied to the ending. It's like, yeah, this to me, it was like this is the way. Yeah, they ended it just right here. He is the fabulous Lightning McQueen. A little silly, but I don't care. So yeah, it's the last one. We don't care. It's just. It's that, and then him driving, and we put the photo on the wall. Why is there a wall there? We don't care. It's just it's on the wall. They mirror each other, and Lightning has become Doc, and it's like put it literally side to side. That's a nice moment there. It's really, again, those to me, those are the moments I embody Cars 3 from. Those are the 3 great moments of Cars 3.
Okay, really quick, Dragon, my final thoughts in a nutshell, folks. I think at the end of the day, this really is, it is flawed, and I think it is kind of a photo finish between which one's better between the original Cars and this film. At the end of the day, I do think people are going to look back fondly on this, and I'm glad to see the critics, not tearing this to shreds. It's not getting the most positive critical reception, but I have seen a lot of people that are very fair-minded and level-headed about this movie, and, and Dragon, I'm glad that you and I basically agree to a T on the pros and cons of it. It seems like we're pretty much in agreement, except, I like the favorite scenes, but whatever, that's just personal taste, but, as I said, I really am a fan of this franchise. I'm kind of rooting for it. It's sort of the underdog of the Pixar universe, which is appropriate with the themes of the franchise and the racing elements and whatnot. And I think they pulled it off, Dragon. I really do think they pulled it off. And yeah, sue me. I think it's a better film than Finding Dory. Sue me. I think it's less of a copy of the first film than Finding Dory was.
Miss Wexler, I have a job for you.
Okay. Go ahead. Final thoughts.
So I thought it was solid, not great, but good.
Okay.
It's a fitting end, and again, basically the best thing, I say solid because it feels like, I really hope this is the ending for Cars. I'm not going to push past this because then it's going to feel forced. But
Except for shorts. I would be down for shorts.
Oh yeah, sure, anytime, man, shorts, yeah.
Yeah.
And I told you, the Mater stuff has always been good in shorts and just
Mater, Luigi and Guido, Fillmore.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. Again, the Cars universe is really. Again, seeing more of those guys in shorts. And again, Cars Land, that's a big take with these characters. Kind of they're fun to see.
I love Cars Land.
I know you do. Anyway, so the point is this is solid. I walked out of it feeling like I was hoping at the very least I was going to walk out of it being a solid film, not being a disappointment in any way. It was a fitting end with some impressive concepts. Just think the execution could have been refined, but again, on the whole, really, it's good. It's solid. Again, the fact that we got Doc Hudson there and they made it work, that to me is like, oh my god. So that to me just makes it a good film. If I had to compare it to the first one, I don't know. You're right. It's a photo finish, but I mean, I think the one has less problems than this, but still, it's the emotion of this one really kind of drives home.
Yeah. Okay, folks, so like I said, we are going to do an extra podcast just because we really do, Dragon and I are in agreement on Lou, too. Dragon, you and I were really, really blown away by Lou, the short film before Cars 3. So we're going to do an in-depth discussion on that pretty soon. And in the meantime, folks, don't forget to go to Rusty's for all your discount mud flaps. That's Rusty's, Rusteeze. Rusty's Motor Oil. Oh, yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
Classy Binks.